Hey, welcome in, everyone. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Talk, a Clippers Talk Live. I don't know if it's a special edition or an emergency edition. I don't think this calls for that, but I know people are interested in this topic with the rumors swirling regarding Kawhi Leonard, so I thought I should get here and do a show. Let me know if you guys are hearing me, if everything's coming through loud and clear. Just want to make sure we're good. On the audio side, La Murray of The Athletic will be in a little bit here. I thought I would go to the preeminent source when it comes down to Kawhi Leonard news. It comes down to anything Clippers. La Murray is the man for that. Trobo's the first in here. Hey, man. What's up, Trobo? Becca Fantastic is in here. We'll wait for a couple more people, and then we will get down to business here and talking about the claw. And if Santa Claus could be back, Santa Claus is coming to town. I do have the Snow Watch shoes, by the way, from, like, 2020. But if Santa Claus could be coming back before Christmas. You guys can hear? You guys can hear? Alex Webb saying, "Kawhi loading soon." Alright. So, couple things that came out this morning regarding the claw, Kawhi Leonard. First, there was some footage that came out. Now, maybe I knew about Kawhi practicing in Intuit Dome yesterday, maybe I didn't. I'm not a reporter. It's not my job. I am just a guy doing some pre, half, and post-game work. Here was that footage. One more time. So Kawhi, some explosive movement there, moving to his left on the left wing for the step back three, sinks it, and then goes to the free throw line. We had heard Kawhi was shooting. We had heard he was doing some on-court activities. The Adams Family Assemble. That's apparently what the name of the group is, the listeners to Clippers Talk. I can't just call you chat anymore. It's the Adams Family. Is that really what you guys want? Stratos says like and subscribe. I'll try to get to as many as the messages here. Travo said, call me your mama. Kawhi return will bring us the chip. Kind of a weird statement, something lost in translation there. Luca E23 says it ain't even allowed to be as back as we are right now. Like we're so back up, it's illegal. John Rodriguez said, let's go, given what the people need. Yeah, I'm with you guys for about the next hour. Raul Perez said, don't limit yourself, Adam. Be like David Pingalore and make up sources. Well, come on. I don't think David Pingalore was making up any sources. KTLA did report last night that Kawhi was doing these workouts. And yeah, I might have seen some stuff. Who knows? Kaylee said some Kawhi updates to wash out the taste of our loss. Yeah, we'll take it after the Clippers lost by 28 last night. Marcino Johnson said movement looks good. Yeah, the handle is tight. The crossover is the Indian flight points out. 3 dozen said, yo, yo, yo. Stratos said, I made it up. Which part? JD the boys said, Adam's Family. Is that really the name we're going with, chat? Da-da-da-da. 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 Oh, Adam Oslin's dad's in here. Told you all he's coming. The 19th versus the Mavericks or the 27th versus the Warriors. So he doesn't know which date exactly. But he is going with those 2 games. They only play 7 games from now till Christmas. Uh Brian937 said love from Ireland, Adam. Appreciate you, Brian. Appreciate you, Deck Fantastic, for the super chat. I ain't turning anything down. I'm not too proud. Thank you, Deca Fantastic. One of the, I don't know, Mount Rushmore members of the Addams family. Miles Johnson said, did we play yesterday? Can't seem to remember. Yeah, man, I slept in this morning. I didn't want to wake up for some reason. Mikey Mock P said, let's effing go. Santa Claus is coming to town. To Intuit Dome. JJ the Boys said, what loss? What game last night? What bike? What are you, Debo? There was no game last night. MKXLNT said, Thursday morning, my man. What up, Clipper Nation? What's up, MK? Stratos said, I made up Adam's family. I screenshot it in case no one remembers. Stratos wants the credit for coming up with a new chat name, the Adams family. Bunit said, Kawhi wasn't that bad. The team just wants him to last until June. That very well could be it. I'll give my opinion on that in a second. Jay said, will Kawhi come back on the 16th? That's when they're giving away his bobblehead that night. LOL. Just kidding. On my lunch right now. Let's go, Clippers. Fresk said, bobblehead night, maybe. Plains 619 said, Adam's family is catchy. AF. Greetings, Adam. What up, planet? Hope we're taking care of you. Adam Oslin's dad said, all depends is he wants to come back in a road game or a home game. HLN said HLN Live Music said need eliminate back-to-back, not fair to players and the fans. The Indian Flight said, I really think 16th against the Jazz might be legit. Axe C said, hi, Adam. The Jazz is a makeup game. Clippers got 2 of them with them not making the knockout round. They got Denver, in Denver, and then at home against the Jazz. So there was one more thing that came out, and this came from the Bill Simmons podcast. I don't know what you think of Bill Simmons. I don't know what you think of him and his sources, but this was said earlier today on The Ringer at the Bill Simmons podcast, and we will play this for you guys. And coming up, yes, we got Lob Murray of The Athletic coming on. Who better?
B2.
What's the Kawhi argument?
My Clippers guy was telling me Kawhi's coming back
Is he
before
ramping
Christmas, and I think he's ramped up. He's ramped up, ready to go, but B2.
What's the Kawhi argument?
My Clippers guy was telling me Kawhi's coming back
Is he
before
ramping
Christmas, and I think he's ramped up. He's ramped up, ready to go, but.
So Bill Simmons has a Clippers guy. He's telling him that Kawhi's coming back before Christmas. I think he's ramped up and ready to go. Here's the thing, guys. When it comes to Kawhi Leonard, can anyone know for sure? International man of mystery. And I don't think anybody saw that coming or that footage coming out of him practicing and making some somewhat explosive movement with his shooting. Trovo said, better explain, call me your mother is a way of speaking here where I live. Brazil, it's like an expression of excitement. In this case, Kawhi finally coming back. Okay. Call me your mother. Call your mother? I knew there was something lost in translation. Appreciate you, Trovo. Alex Webb said, December 27th versus the Warriors is my guess. JJ the Boys said, if Kawhi comes back as good as last year, I think I'll ascend in harmony. Oscar said, what's up, Adam? I heard he's coming back against the Lakers. I don't mind Kawhi load managing. Yeah, when's that first game against the Lakers, though, guys? It's not till January, right? If anybody has it, anybody of the Adams family has it, throw it in here. Kaylee said, I don't think we should get too excited yet with Kawhi. Trovo, our Brazilian friend, said, we put the same thing in there twice. Call me your mama is an expression of excitement. Call your mama. Wake the kids up. Kaylee said he's back once he is back. Stratos said Jeff Van Gundy is Uncle Fester. Come on now. Carlo Jimenez in the chat at Clippers Talk. Hey, Carlo, you know the link. If you need to get in here, just join the show, my friend. Your radio broadcaster for the Clippers, Carlo Jimenez, is in here. Is he part of the Adams family? Da-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. What's up, my guy? Good morning. Alex Webb said, need to see what Skip Bayless says. He seems to be plugged in on Kawhi. I really don't. Oscar said, Bill Simmons does go to a lot of Clippers games. This is true. Chris G said, a Christmas miracle. Axie said, where is that Clippers guy? Which Clippers guy? Law Murray's coming on in a bit. Miles Johnson said, Bill Simmons does have Clippers season tickets, but we'll have to see it to believe it. Axie said he should be here. January 19th is the first Clippers-Lakers game. That is bizarre to me. Anyone else think that's kind of wild? We got to wait that long for the first game when they're playing 4 times. So they're all going to be packed in. Man, it'd be nice to play the Lakers right now. They might be saying the same thing about the Clippers, though, if the Clippers lost by 28 last night. But hey, it wasn't 41. Yeah, way to go. Illustrating NBA said, even with man out, I hope KPJ never touches the floor again. Fine with a 9-man rotation with Jordan as a permanent fixture. I don't know if you guys have seen how the offense has run at times without having a real shot creator, more traditional ball handler out there. I think the last couple of games have made the case that they do miss KPJ. Oscar Burrows said January 19th versus the Lakers. Yes, multiple people putting that in. I asked for it, so I appreciate it. These are all 4 games against the Lakers. The January 19th date, then February 4th, then February 28th, then March 2nd. So they're all just packed in there. They're going to be playing each other a lot over like a month and a half stretch. They play all 4 games. That's crazy. Axie said, Carlo! And as Carlo would say, let's go! Alex Webb said, Kawhi must love Christmas. He had a Christmas bobblehead last year. He is truly a fun guy. You guys didn't know that? You guys didn't know about Kawhi and how much he loves Christmas? Well, let me play something for you guys. Let me play something for you guys. Maybe y'all forgot or just hadn't seen this before, but Kawhi can be a pretty festive guy. Check this out.
Antonio Eastside, as part of the Elf Louise, channeled his inner Santa Claus and went door to door on the San Antonio Eastside as part of the Elf Louise Christmas Project, delivering presents, Spurs tickets, and holiday cheer to families and children in need.
Santa's got a brand new bag. I want to give you guys some presents. Come out. Give them something that they might not have for Christmas, and just seeing their faces, their smile, their enjoyment, and just all their emotions. And it just makes you feel good coming out here and doing that. Got to lay off the cookies a little. I'm blocking the bay. I mean, it's just a great feeling, just putting a joy on their heart. Hello. What's up? What's up, man? Oh, bear hug. Just giving them some Christmas spirit, holiday spirit, and hopefully they could spread it out throughout their friends and other family.
They have our own clothes, Isaiah.
Amazing, awesome, and crazy. It was just like having a basketball, and I just dreamed of all the basketball players there with him, all his little elves.
You guys did a great job with making the suit. My elves are great.
How about that? Y'all really hadn't seen that before? Didn't know about that? Now, there's other times where Kawhi is more focused on the game around Christmas. Like this moment I'll play for you right here when he was with the Toronto Raptors. This always makes me laugh. Check this out.
So, Merry Christmas. Can you talk about your favorite Christmas moment?
Not right now.
Not right now. So, Merry Christmas. Can you talk about your favorite Christmas moment?
Not right now.
Not right now. So, Merry Christmas. Can you talk about your favorite Christmas moment?
Not right now.
Hey, my guy was focused. He was locked in. He was trying to win a championship, okay? Yes, it's Santa Claus. And I do have the Snow Wasset shoes, which if you don't know, check them out. His New Balance Snow Wasset shoes. I think I wore them one time for a TikTok video. Shout out Carlo Jimenez. I tried, but I can never do it like him. He's too nice with it. Did you guys like that? Kawhi Leonard. Did you hear that part? Santa's got a brand new bag. It was hilarious. Frank White said, I told you I seen video of Kawhi rehabbing and you tried to downplay it. Frank, you hadn't seen video of it. That was the first one that came out last night. So you're in timeout immediately. There was no other video before that. That workout happening into it Dome. Some of us may have heard about it. Everybody knows about it now. KTLA put it out there. Where is Law? Law's coming. Give my guy some time here. John Stoddard said hilarious. Kawhi. Yeah, I can't even read that. Travo said, maybe it's just me, but I think the James Harden and Kawhi duo is better than Kawhi and PG. I think so too, because James Harden is at an all-time A+ level in the playmaking area. So that's what 213 always wanted, a guy that can get them to their spots, and James Harden can do that, make the game so much easier for everyone, including a guy like Kawhi Leonard. Let me say this regarding the rumors, guys. Whether he's coming back on the 16th as bobblehead night, or on Christmas, or later in December, or maybe it's January. All I know is this. If they get Kawhi Leonard back and healthy and playing at the level he was at last season, where remember, he set the all-time efficiency record over a 30-game period where he was putting up 41, or no, it was 51, 47, 90 splits for 30 games. If they get that Kawhi Leonard back, yes, your Los Angeles Clippers are a real championship contender. Certainly, I think one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And there's nobody that scares me in a 7-game series against them. There are teams that can beat them, but there's nobody that scares me in a 7-game series against them in the Western Conference. There's one team that scares me overall. The Boston Celtics. They take 53s now. They have all the switchability and versatility. They play 5 out. It's just a brutal matchup, and you have to hope and pray. Excuse me. They are missing threes. That's it. There's not a lot you can do about it, as the Clippers found out when they played them recently. So, yeah, Ozzy is cooked. He just said Harden looked cooked, I'm afraid. He just had 39 and 43 points. What are you talking about? Harden has looked great. He had a bad game last night. That is a clear-cut timeout. Spreading misinformation instead of spreading the cheer like Kawhi was as Santa Claus. It's just Boston, guys. That's the only team that I'd fear if the Clippers get not just a healthy Kawhi, but the version of Kawhi that played last year that looked like an MVP candidate, that was playing at the highest level in his regular season career ever. That guy, he can get them out of the West. Now, are we still asking a lot? Yeah, because he's had ongoing knee issues since he tore the ACL, then the meniscus, then last season. We're talking about the swelling. Is the swelling going to go away? And this has always been my question, fully, or are they managing it forever? And it sounds like something they are going to have to manage. That's the way Kawhi put it at Media Day. So even if he comes back, I don't want to throw any cold water on everybody celebrating right now, but will he be able to stay back? Will Kawhi Leonard be able to stay on the floor? And will the knee and the swelling be under control? Because My question is the swelling down because he hasn't done those explosive basketball movements yet in a game at the NBA level? That's my question. Always. Been talking about it since April. You can get the swelling down, but if it's only down because he's not having to make those quick, fast twitch movements out there on the floor, well, what's going to happen once he gets into a game and has to do all that stuff? We saw what happened from game 2 to game 3 against Dallas last year. He looked like a shell of himself by game 3. Game 2, I thought he looked okay. The knee didn't respond well. Swelled back up. That is always going to be front of mind for me when it comes to this Kawhi Leonard, can he stay healthy conversation. Kevin Richards said Bill Simmons said on his podcast last week that he thinks Nicholas Batum is washed. Maybe Bill Simmons is washed. I don't know, because Batum has had a 4 3-pointer game recently. He's looked really good. Shadow said, Adam's family, hit like and subscribe. It only takes a second. If you're a real member of the Adams family here in the chat, hit like and subscribe. Garrett said, Adam, what did you think of Flowers last night? Looked like a great athlete against real comp and more polished than I would have thought. I agree with you completely. I was taken aback a little bit. I didn't expect him to look that good. Now, some of the competition he was going up against was also a lot of backups. But in terms of getting downhill, yes, XC, getting to the rim, blowing by defenders, getting 2 feet in the paint, oh, he's got it. He's got it at 19. And Coach Lue, post-game, made a very interesting comp, saying basically his ceiling as a player is Sean Marion. Ooh, I love hearing that. The Matrix. Maybe he could be the Matrix Reloaded. Trenton Flowers. The sequel. I like what I saw. He's also been shooting it well while he went 0 of 2 for 3 last night for the Clippers. He's been shooting it well in the G League. He has. And this was late notice, I'm sure. Him and Cam Christie getting called up. Cam Christie also hit a 3-pointer. But Trenton Flowers is tantalizing. The talent is there. You can see it, the explosiveness. He got called for a foul, or there was a foul on the play, and went up for a block afterwards late in the fourth quarter. And, I mean, his hand was at least halfway up the backboard. It was insane. And how quickly he got up. I think that's part of the comparison with Sean Marion. Sean Marion had one of the quickest first jumps and then second jumps. Once he lands, it jumps again. Just super fast, twitchy guy. If you watched him in Phoenix a ton. Dallas, he was still good, and obviously he guarded LeBron a lot in the 2011 NBA Finals. But Trenton Flowers, give him his flowers for that performance last night. He looked good. I just like seeing guys be comfortable and aggressive out there and be in attack mode and not shying away from it. And neither he nor Cam Christie were shying away. They both made sure to go out there and put them up and play their game. Both had their first points in the National Basketball Association last night coming on a dunk. Cam Christie, a steal and score. Trenton Flowers, he caught a lob after a timeout. Good for them. Congratulations to those two young players. Keep building. Keep getting better. Two very young players. Two of the younger players in the league, and the Clippers have them. Maybe give Al Frank a little bit of love. I think considering the situation with the lack of first-round picks, he's done a very solid job drafting in later rounds. Garrett Griffin said, Jordan Miller's first bad game last night made me shed a tear. That just shows how rough it was for the whole team. Kind of did. He started 1 of 5. He missed some gimmies. There was some really good defense being played by Minnesota out there, guys. Give them credit, of course. Minnesota Timberwolves looked good. Ozzy, you said Harden is looking washed. He just had a 39-point game and a 43-point game. I don't care about his overall efficiency. He had a bad game last night, but the 7 before that, he was shooting 41% from 3. That's why you got a timeout. Acting like James Harden's looking washed will get you a timeout. Do you not realize he can very well be in the MVP discussion with this team being 14-10 right now? Guess what? They have the exact same record right now that they had through 24 games last season, and they haven't had Kawhi for a game yet. And obviously, Paul George is in Philly. If I got to explain why you got a timeout for that, you may need another one. I'm like that this morning. I'm not messing around. Neither is this man. Joining the show is the great, incomparable La Murray, who knows ball at a molecular level, and this Clippers team. La, thanks for coming on here on Clippers Talk Live.
And good to see you this morning.
It's not like we were just doing this, 8 hours ago or whatever. Law came on with me pregame last night, so I really appreciate him doing this again. But I feel like Law and I are becoming friends because we're getting very much acquainted, especially when he's out there on the road. He's always willing to come on pregame, so appreciate you, my guy. Let's talk about some of these Kawhi rumors that are out there. Did you see or did you hear about any of the on-court activity in the workout he went through pregame, long even before pregame at Into a Dome yesterday?
Yeah, man, like he's been working. We've been charting it all November. It's obviously the first week of December now, but he's working as far as trying to actually play in that arena, So we kept on hearing, he's shooting, he's doing all the right things, checking all the boxes, not going to come back till he's 100%. I mean, he's working really hard, that's pretty much what he's been gearing to do. The most important thing Kawhi said was that first week of when we were in training camp for Hawaii, and he was like, a guy like me needs time to ramp up and get back for real. And November went the way it went. Obviously what we heard in September was that if it was up to why he would participate in camp, that he would try and play in the season opener. None of those things were particularly close. Obviously the coaching staff can't really think about these things. They got to worry about the team that they're coaching, right? But this is a different month than November. This is a different month than October. So the time has passed, November was a really tough month. They got through it. They still had a 3-4 to begin December. Got through that. They won two of those games. Now this is the time to really figure things out.
Do you think there's a real chance that, as many have speculated, they are just being so overly cautious with him? As you've reported, there's been no setback. There's been no issue there. I thought maybe he's not progressing as fast as they would have liked, and that was an issue. I could be totally wrong about that at this point. If he comes back in December, if he is ramped all the way up or close to that right now. But do you think this is just about the Clippers saying, hey, the team's winning. They look great. We know what we need him for. We need him healthy for a playoff run, and therefore, even if Kawhi, as you mentioned, feels that he's good, we're going to continue to push back and hold him back, because there was a quote from Coach Lue. I remember at the game in San Diego, the preseason game against the Brooklyn Nets, where he said something to the effect of, even if it pisses him off, we're going to protect him from himself. Do you think that's a reasonable theory?
Like, that's the thing with Kawhi, that, people who just want to yap on TV and whatnot, like, not here to name names, y'all can do that. But like, if you're around Kawhi, like, you realize that he wants to do things that he probably shouldn't be doing, right? He actually will put other people in difficult positions, and at the same time, Kawhi knows his body and he knows what his limits are. He knows what he's going to need to get back. He's been through this before. The last year that he played in San Antonio, he didn't debut that season until right around this point, right around in December. And so, this is a guy who because he's been through so many rehabs, because he's been through so many ramp ups, if you will, load up time, whatever. He understands what he's got perspective, and a lot of people and what we do in the media thing lack that critical trait, perspective. And so, yeah, like the Clippers, I've really been cautious not to tie this to wins and losses, but the Clippers have done their part. They've won games that I guess people, yeah, I mean, look, that schedule was supposed to break them. It didn't break them, right? So we're just at the point where it's like, okay, December 12th, is that a good target? Like, you have no more back-to-backs until literally New Year's Eve in San Antonio, of all places. Like, there, I just felt like if they wanted to bring him on the floor in November, I felt like it would make sense early if he was targeting specific games to play against certain guys or teams. Once that didn't happen, it was the rest of the month was a wash, and it was just like, all right, take your time. Well, now the time is here. The calculus has changed, and we're going to see what the progress really looks like as far as him getting on the court for a practice, since they're actually going to have a practice this weekend.
Is that why? Because you have been targeting this date for a while in early December, knowing that they're going to have some time off. Is that why you bring up December 12th here? It just makes sense.
Well, December 12th, 2017 is when he made his season debut, when he missed, the first part of his last year in San Antonio with the quadriceps tendinopathy. And the difference between December 2017 and December 2024 is that because of everything that went down in San Antonio, the Clippers took notes. They understand the relationship and the partnership with Kawhi Leonard. The San Antonio Spurs took for granted that, hey, we're the San Antonio Spurs. What we say goes, from top down. Top down being from Popovich to the veteran leadership in the locker room to everybody else, right?
Tony Parker.
Right. You don't have any Tony Parkers on this team saying, I had the injury that Kawhi has. It was even worse. He should be back. You instead have James Harden saying, when Kawhi is ready, he'll be ready. You don't have Greg Popovich kind of saying, I'm not sure what the hell is going on. You have Tyronn Lue giving out these mundane details. You have the front office that, yeah, like we know what it is with the front office. Like, they're not going to really say anything before they're ready to. They're just going to kind of sit back and watch the show play out. So there's a relationship there where Kawhi and the organization and the coaching staff and his teammates are on the same accord. The contract helps. I know a lot of y'all took umbrage with the extension that was signed in January, but back in December 2017, Kawhi had 2 years of team control left on his deal after that season, meaning you could trade him to a place where a team would be like, yeah, we'll take him for a year and see how the year plays out and try and sell Kawhi on, if nothing else, picking up his player option, if not signing a whole new deal. It worked out for Toronto. Like, how are we talking about the Raptors if they don't win that championship, right? So we're not talking about any of that here. Kawhi has 2 solid years after this season left on his deal, and that's just another thing that you don't have to talk about. What if Kawhi didn't sign that extension in January and picked up his player option, and this was, no matter what, his last year unless he signed an extension now? Maybe the temperature changes about things. That's not this Clippers team. Everybody is secure. Everybody knows for the most part that they're going to be on the team next year, except for a couple guys who have zero chance of making any kind of commotion or waves. So, no pun intended. I know what team we're talking about here. So, that's where we're at. This Kawhi's older, but the situation, because of perspective, lowers the tension that could possibly arise in a situation like this.
Do you have any idea, when you hear ramp up and Kawhi's progressing or going through this process, Do you have any idea what that entails and what could be signs as we're moving along here of what's next before he comes on the court?
Again, practice. Like, I can't stress this enough. Like, the Clippers haven't practiced since October 29th. Do you realize how long ago that was? October 29th was like the second week of the season. I don't even think the G League camp had reported yet. Like, that's how long ago we're talking. We're talking about guys who, they're still not even 10 days removed from playing preseason games. Like, everyone was practicing in October. All October was basically practice because you're getting ready to try and figure out who's going to even be on the team, let alone how you're playing basketball. Now your practices in December are going to be geared towards we've been playing a respectable sample size of regular season games. What do we need to put in as far as new things offensively now that teams have a 20 game sample size of what we've been running? How can our defense be a little bit better? What are some new things that we want to put in situationally when we're facing this kind of team, that kind of team, instead of Jeff Van Gundy saying, "Hi, my name's Jeff Van Gundy. I haven't coached on the sidelines in damn near 20 years. Here's the new defense we're putting in." It's a little bit different when you're practicing now. Now your practices are targeted towards enhancing what you've laid out as your foundation instead of the foundation that you had to spend weeks building through October. So Kawhi Leonard being introduced to all of that, it's great to have practices to do that instead of, you know, being on a road trip and, having to just try and be around shoot around and whatnot. Like, that works for a Mo Bamba type, a guy who's going to play 10, 15 minutes. That doesn't work for a guy that you're probably going to give the ball to and play through. So that is the next step. When he returns to practice, that will be a huge deal. We've been talking about that for a while, right? And, you know, maybe it happens Saturday. Maybe it happens again. I don't think it's a guarantee that it happens this week or right after the Rockets game, but there's a bunch of time and space for it to happen by his bobblehead night. So that's what we're all looking for. We're looking at Saturday. We're looking at next week before they go to Denver, and we're looking at what happens after the Jazz game.
He is Lob Murray of The Athletic. Subscribe to The Athletic if you aren't already. This is the reason to do so, Clipper Nation. Lob Murray has the best information in the game. In terms of fit with this particular Clippers team, is this hand in a pretty big glove to fit Kawhi Leonard? Is this the type of roster construction that works perfectly for what they need out of him, with just kind of plug him in? We can win without him, but with him, he's the hammer. He takes us over the top.
Well, I would say in general, yes. Like, this roster is great for him. Maybe he needs to see that. But I think the front office should get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. You see the team that they put together to play without him, and how the fits aren't perfect. They're not close to perfect. There's been some uneven basketball. It's been good overall, but it's been uneven. Like, we're not going to sit here and say that this is how you want to build a team on the long term or the course of an entire season. But this was a really good team that they put together to win games without Kawhi, and losing Paul George, losing Russell Westbrook, not having a true backup center for the first, 15 or so games until Mo got back. Remember last year, Vince Zubac was starting, but once Mason Plumlee went down, that backup center spot until they signed Daniel Tice was a real trouble spot. It hasn't been as much this year, not just because of Kai Jones, but because of how they're playing basketball in general as a team.
Yeah.
And so what I wrote last month, I was in Oklahoma City, right? It was the 10-game mark. And after the Raptors game, I wrote ahead of the Oklahoma City-Houston road trip. I was like, hey, look, whenever Kawhi gets back, my expectations aren't going to be super high right away on what he's going to be able to do. Like, that's a lot of time off. It's a guy that we've seen him false start multiple times in 2024 in different teams, both the Clippers and USA. And you have to just understand that Kawhi might get out there and kind of feel his way through. Like that's what kind of player Kawhi Leonard is. Like Kawhi is going to try and feel his way through. This is the same Kawhi Leonard that when he came back from the ACL to begin the 2022-23 season, surprised the coaching staff. Again, this is Kawhi does stuff like this and says, "Hey, why don't you bring me off the bench so that I can make the most of my minutes?" And the coaching staff didn't like that, but they did it, and it worked for a game. And then it looked terrible for the home opener against the Suns. And then Kawhi's knee flared up, and when he came back, the coaching staff was like, "Look, whatever we're gonna do with Kawhi, we're definitely not bringing him off the bench." Like that was nasty. So,
Yeah. So we killed that. We killed that.
Exactly. Like they're not. They'll listen to Kawhi, but they'll also be like, "Yeah, Kawhi, this is not gonna. We're not doing this again." It's a matter of collaboration. I think James Harden mentioned how he likes that stuff. It's a matter of coaching and player coming together to figure out what's best for the team, not necessarily just for, what works for Kawhi. Everyone's trying to consider Kawhi here. So I think he comes back as a role player, as a guy who fits in with what the team is doing. As Kawhi gets more comfortable playing games, guarding different body types, going through different actions, being off the ball, getting his jump shot right. Your legs have to get. You saw Kevin Porter Jr. take forever to learn how to make a damn 3-pointer, right? I mean, it's not going to be as acute with Kawhi, but you remember in the playoffs when he came back in April in that first game back, that game 2, he missed all 5 of his threes. And then in game 3, when it was clear he was really dealing with that swelling, he didn't even attempt a 3-pointer. You want to see what it looks like for him to be effective in an off-ball role. You don't want to put him out there and just be like a decoy. Can he actually play basketball at a high level? I don't think, I think that you play games and you get comfortable, and then in January, let's say he comes back this month in January, that's when you start seeing Kawhi really take the next step and be the player that he signed to be. So that's where, there are so many layers. Practice, actually debuting, the minute restriction obviously is going to be there, the role restriction, not taking as many shots, just trying to fit in, and then progression on probably a weekly basis.
So speaking of layers, somebody in here is bringing up they still need a 4. And, well, I'd say seems like they've got.
Why? Tell me what a 4 is supposed to do. Please tell me. Because every time we talked about a 4, we talked about 2 things. We talked about, the athletic size that comes with that kind of a player from, just a offensive standpoint. Again, we're people following this team are used to seeing Blake Griffin, for instance, right? Okay, cool. But we're also saying that from a matter of defense and rebounding. Well, this is a top 5 defense that is literally leading the NBA in defensive rebound percentage. Like Derrick Jones Jr. is been starting at 4 as a string bean the entire season. What kind of 4? You guys want a 4 just so you guys can, act like you're watching Blake Griffin again, just so the defense can fall off and the offense can have weird spacing, and there's no guarantee that you don't need better rebounding. You're literally the best defensive rebounding team in the league.
Which I never would have expected. You
got 3 names up here, right? That it's like, yeah, that's a power forward right there. Like we're in the 1990s again. And God bless all these guys. I got respect for all of them as individual players and the careers that they've had. John Collins plays for a Utah Jazz team that is literally like still trying to figure out how to defend in the NBA in 2024. Bobby Portis is a player who, again, offensively does a lot of things for you, but there's a reason he comes off the bench, and there's a reason why the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to work stuff out on that end of the floor. They've made improvements, but they also happen to have Giannis Antetokounmpo on their team, Brook Lopez on their team. Those guys have a lot more to do with whatever defensive improvements they've made than Bobby does. And then Rui, I just saw a clip last night where Rui was just lost in space trying to figure out how to guard Tyler Hero in transition. The ball went from Tyler Hero to the paint to Bam, back to Tyler Hero for one of his 7 third-quarter threes. Is that what you guys are asking for? I just want to know, because like I've said hey, look, maybe a power forward works, but it has to be the right kind of player for that team. I said this in February before the trade. I said it in February at the trade deadline when they didn't make any moves and PJ Tucker was still on the roster. And I said it afterwards when PJ Washington was beating the crap out the Clippers in the playoffs. It's like, okay, that's great for Dallas, but would that have worked for LA? I think the bigger point is Kawhi didn't look like, an all NBA player in that playoff series. That decided more things than anything PJ Washington or PJ Tucker did. We're back here again talking about, traditional positions that might fit archetypes about what your idea of a team is supposed to look like instead of actually looking at how the team is playing and executing and succeeding. It makes, it's just disingenuous to me at this point. Like, people have to actually watch how the team is playing. But I digress. I'm sorry.
And then I get a guy that keeps saying, just play Bamba at the 4. There you go. He's a stretch 4. What's the problem?
Again, Julius Randle made 4 threes in the first quarter of last night's game. He didn't make any threes the rest of the game, but them 4 threes pretty much ended the competitive portion of the basketball, right? Because Julius by himself outscored the Clippers' entire team in that first quarter. 2 of those threes were Mo just kind of being not anywhere in position to be guarding. You don't want Mo Bamba guarding in space. Like, that's just and in 2024, until the 3-point line or the corner 3 gets abolished or some rule changes take place so that, more mid-range shots are attempted to ease the people who are tired of watching basketball, except to talk about how they're tired of watching basketball. Like, you don't want guys like Mo having the guard the perimeter more often. Like, Mo is a drop center. That's, if anything, Kai is the guy who, like, if you want to, be weird about size at the power forward position, you can put him there. But again, Kai hasn't made a shot outside the paint the entire season. What are y'all talking about? Like, be for real about where, like, it just drives me crazy because it just feels like people don't read, don't watch the games, don't understand how the game's being played, don't understand the process of how these things. And I'm not saying I'm an expert in this. I'm just saying I've watched a lot of games and talked to a lot of people. So, like, y'all are going to continue to be mad if y'all keep pressing a point like that. Your guys are trying to, win a battle instead of understanding the big picture of things. Like, yeah, let's have a power forward. Congrats. You won that little battle there and you've lost a war. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
We've heard L. Frank say he likes a point guard, he likes a big, he likes 3 wings. That is how he thinks about constructing a team in the modern NBA, and it makes a ton of sense to me. How do you feel about, without Paul George in the mix, how well James Harden could work next to Kawhi Leonard, and just the comparison between PG and Kawhi and James Harden and Kawhi now, what we could see there?
I think it's the same. I really do. I think what's best is to, and I thought I discussed this before. Kawhi's knee issues were an acute issue. When they put their team together in the first week of July, I mentioned this has always been a 2-star team, except for last year when they brought James into the mix and really, in February when they introduced Russell Westbrook, and they didn't want to introduce Russell Westbrook. They went with, they went with Russ, but then in the 2023 off, like, it was something that the stars wanted. The front office had to be convinced, right? Now, once they saw how Russ's impact was, they loved him, or at least loved him enough to say, hey, Russ should be a part of the 2023-24 team, right? But as they were building the 2023-24 team, they clearly wanted another ball handling guard. Malcolm Brogdon was a guy that they nearly completed a deal for. And once James Harden's situation went from, wait, what's happening in Philly to, oh, he's available and wants to be here, they set on a months-long trek to get him. I think because of Russ and James' presence on the Clippers, people forget that the Clippers were built as a 2-star team around a plethora of role players around them, high-performing role players, but role players nonetheless. Norman Powell's emergence into being the player that Norm has always wanted to be actually makes it so that the Clippers are probably more like last year's team than they would have thought. Like the Clippers have some real star power if Norm is going to, be the player that he has been to start this year throughout the entire year. And there's really no reason to think he won't because Norm is used to being great off the ball and excelling in off ball, on ball kind of that, split of responsibilities. Norm is like your Paul George. James can continue to be the James he was last year. We know that James is perfectly fine not shooting the basketball for extended stretches of time just to facilitate the offense. And then Kawhi comes in as a guy who is a top ISO player, a mid-range player. The Clippers have been dreadful in the mid-range this year. And for years, the Clippers are one of the very best mid-range teams in basketball. Kawhi Leonard can absolutely help you just by saying, hey, we're going to play out of the mid-post. Guess what? A guy like a Vince Zubac is going to lose touches. I think Zoo's going to just have to be okay with that because there are games where Zoo's great. But you saw last night, I asked before the game, hey, what's it like trying to get Zoo the ball when you feel like he's, got advantages? Well, damn it, the attempts weren't the issue with Zoo. It was the fact they couldn't even get him touches. The Timberwolves were like, what are y'all going to do? We're going to put James McDaniels on James Harden, and we're going to basically pack the paint because we don't respect anybody else, and we're going to make it hard for Zoo to simply get touches. Rudy Gobert was like, yeah, I'm just going to step around Zoo and get steals. Like, he did that multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
With Kawhi Leonard, what are you going to do? You're going to overplay a bit of Zubac when Kawhi Leonard's out there? Even if Norman Powell is out there? No, the shooting is better. The spacing is better. The threats are increased. It makes everybody's job easier, even if Kawhi is in like a very muted role to start things out. And so when I look at James and Kawhi, I look at how Tyronn Lue, first thing he did when he got the head coaching job was tell Paul George, you're the point guard. You're the guy that we're playing through as our primary playmaker. You're going to be running most of the pick and rolls. You're going to be the one starting the plays. Well, that was an adjustment for Paul, and he did great with it. He was an all-NBA player. The only time he made all-NBA in his 5 seasons with the Clippers. You have James, who is basically a natural at starting plays. He loves that role. He wants to be that role. He's not going to go to you 2 years later and say, we need to get another point guard in here. And even if he did, you have Chris Dunn on the roster in the starting lineup. Terrence, unfortunately, is hurt. But, Terrence can handle the ball in a pinch, and hopefully Terrence will be back. If not by the end of this month, he'll be back sometime in January as well. Like, this roster is built to have multiple, and we didn't even mention Kevin Porter Jr. And I won't mention Kevin until he gets back on the floor. But this team has multiple play starters, multiple guys who have experience on various levels of making plays. There's a lot of complementary pieces, and that's how you have to look at the game. You have to look at complementary pieces. And Kawhi is the ultimate complementary piece because there's only been one coach in his entire NBA career that has told Kawhi Leonard, you're touching the ball more than anybody else on the team. And that was actually Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers was the only coach that Kawhi's had that was like, we're playing through you, you're starting plays, you're doing everything. And you saw Kawhi take a jump in his playmaking even in that season. Kawhi does not have that responsibility under Tyree. He never did, and he won't now. And James is a big reason why.
I got 2 more questions, Law. One more on Kawhi. I said this earlier, but to me, if Kawhi is back healthy and right and looking like some version of him from last season, which was historic in some ways with that 30-game stretch of efficiency, if he's anything close to that, to me, they're a threat to come out the West, and really the only team I fear is the Boston Celtics because they're just a problem for everyone. Do you see it the same way where they could take down anyone in the West right now?
Sure. Why not? This is a Western Conference that everyone overreacts to because they see who's in the play-in and see winning records there. You don't see that in the East, but every team in the West has flaws. Every team in the West is vulnerable. Even the way we talk about the Celtics are vulnerable too, damn it. Like, they're a jump shot heavy team with older guys, injury prone guys. They're the champions. Everyone's going to give them their best shot. The Celtics have to deal with the Cavaliers this year. They didn't have to deal with a team that was right at the top of the conference with them. They're looking up to the Cavaliers as of right now. Like, that is different. Everything in the East is different. There are teams in the East that will be better as the year goes on. We've already seen the Bucks get over 500 after, the Doc Rivers, Darvin Ham jokes were flying like crazy going into November. So, I love the regular season because if you do falter or you have shorthanded teams, you have things to play for every week. Maybe not every game, and people trip about that, but every week a team has a challenge, because of what an opponent brings to them, or because they're shorthanded, or because they're on a road trip, or because they've had some success and now you have to react to your own success. That's a real thing. Uh, like that's how it is. The East will be better as the year goes on, I bet you.
Yeah.
In the West, you have a bunch of teams that are really good. They're high performing. They're playing well, and we have this thought that the West is this beast. But we also saw during the West playoffs that just because you're a certain seed in the West doesn't mean that you're invincible by any stretch. We saw the 1 seed go down in the semifinals. We saw the 2 seed, a couple of years ago, the Memphis Grizzlies as the 2 seed go down in the first round. We saw the defending champions be up at home by like 20 and lose that game 7, to a Minnesota Timberwolves team that no one had seen win a playoff series in 20 years before they faced the Phoenix Suns. We saw the Phoenix Suns not win a single playoff game, right? So the West is get into the playoffs and see what you can do from there. Don't disqualify yourself. And that's all anyone wants from the Clippers this season anyway, is to compete, to see what it looks like in April and to go from there. That's all anyone would have been satisfied with. 3 years ago, when Kawhi was out with the ACL the entire year, that's all anyone asked for. Just make it to the play-in tournament and see what happens. It was obviously a tragic playoff tournament for them. They lost to a New Orleans Pelicans team that started 3-16. Does that sound familiar? With the season the Pelicans are having, don't write anyone off, but also don't look at any team in the West and say, oh, they're unbeatable for any stretch. You want to give yourself a chance to make the playoffs, and then once you're in the playoffs, it's a 7-game series, and you never know who's going to be healthy. You never know what the vibes are going to be. You never know who's going to be playing at their best, and you just got to see what it is. And that's a long time from now. I don't really need to be talking about the playoffs or anybody when it's the first week of December.
And as people are bringing up, Houston looks like a problem right now, but it is still early. It is still early. The Clippers get them on Sunday.
3 Rockets got fined because they lost a game in Sacramento, a team that is scuffling a bit. The West is like that. Like every game, you just can't be surprised. And so, again, as someone who likes basketball, I enjoy that. I'm not going to complain about it. See how that works?
High-level ball knower, watcher. This is La Murray. This is what he does. Last one for you. You had a conversation with Coach Lou last night about Sean Marion and the comp to Trenton Flowers. So what do you know about Trenton Flowers, and what did you make of what Coach Lou said? That was high praise.
Yeah, it's high praise. I was uncomfortable with it, clearly. I don't like doing 2 things. I don't like telling people that they're, supposed to be a Hall of Famer, and I don't like telling people that they're shooting the basketball well, because I don't need any of those problems on my head. T. Lou said it. I didn't say it. I told Trenton Flowers what T. Lou said. And, it's funny because T. Lou likes making those kind of comparisons. Like, again, we enjoy basketball because we want to, and that's why I asked T. Lou that kind of a question. People didn't see Trenton Flowers play basketball. Don't lie and say that you did. You probably didn't. You know what I'm saying? Trent Flowers was playing I don't even know what time zone, Australia is in. Okay. I don't know what time it is there. For all I know, it could be Friday over there already. So we just have to be realists. Like, hey, when you see a player as young but as relatively under the radar as Trenton, he went undrafted, he played in Australia after committing to Louisville, he was injured, so he definitely was off the radar from there. It's not like he played as many games in Australia as he could have. He didn't play in Summer League. He didn't play in the preseason. He's been playing in San Diego, unless you got, a certain subscription. You probably haven't been watching those games either, you probably went down to San Diego and realized, oh, shoot, the arena is actually in Oceanside. I get it. People probably haven't seen Trent Flowers play. And now you see this kid come in the late 3rd quarter with all this hair jumping out the gym. And it's like, what the heck? And it's like, he is the outline of a player that you try and develop. I love what Trenton told me more than what T. Lou told me. And not that I hate what T. Lou told me. I'm glad that T. Lou entertain the conversation. You know, Sean Marion, that's an exciting player. Sean Marion was literally, and I told Trenton this, Sean Marion was literally like the player I wanted to be like when I was in high school. Like, dudes called me Matrix because I was getting steals and blocks, but I was doing it at 6 feet tall in the Friends School League in Philadelphia. I wasn't doing it at the level Sean did it for a damn near Hall of Fame career. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like your shot though, Law. It's more traditional than Sean Marion's.
Oh, everybody's is. No one should ever. And that's the thing about Trent. It's like, man, Trent has a very interesting. That dude shoots like he's in the 70s. But besides all of that, it's like I love what Trenton told me. He said he's watching Derrick Jones Jr. And you see the player Derrick Jones Jr. is and what he means to the LA Clippers now. Unless you're trying to get a power forward on the team. But like Derrick Jones Jr. was undrafted after 1 year in school. He went to UNLV. He was undrafted with all that athleticism and all that length and playing the wing position. How does a player like that go under the radar and get undrafted? Like, I love that Trenton made that comparison. Trenton sounds like a dude who actually watches ball and is surrounded by people who know some ball, because that is the perspective that I think that is great. If you can develop a Trenton Flowers type to be like a Derrick Jones Jr. in the short term, then you really got something. Because Derrick is known for his incredible vert. Well, so is Trenton Flowers. He had the highest vertical leap in the combine. We know the Clippers, they love those type of guys. They drafted Keon Johnson. Keon's the highest draft pick of the Clippers since they signed Kawhi and acquired Paul in 2019. And like Keon obviously, had some hard times in the early part of his career, but Keon's come out on the better side of it. Everyone likes talking about Brandon and Musa this year. You don't see people talking about Keon. And Keon's the guy who actually earned a standard contract with what he's been able to do. The Clippers have a type. Their type are guys like Trenton. Trenton is a wing who can jump. If they can, and he's got experience with the ball in his hands, but he's not a point guard. They want him to focus on being off the ball and, being able to defend, run the floor, and make an impact in the half court, not necessarily as a play starter. That's an exciting project for the Clippers. It is a project because the kid has to play some real basketball. Again, he didn't play a lot of games in Australia. He was in high school 2 years ago. But you have a project now that, again, watch the G League. He is doing some things and he's being coached hard. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the Clippers development program.
He is Law Murray of The Athletic. Follow him at Law Murray, the NU, on X and on Bluesky. And please subscribe to The Athletic. Give yourself a Christmas present. It can be early, just like if Kawhi Leonard comes back before Christmas. An early Christmas present. Subscribe to The Athletic for great conversations, great opinions, and great analysis like this from Law Murray that we heard here today on Clippers Talk Live. Law, appreciate you, my friend. Be good. We'll see you at the Intuit Dome on Sunday.
Hey, appreciate you. I'm going to get back to this nap I was taking.
All right, get out of here. Get out of here. I apologize. Chat, Adams family, we're out of here. I got to go on with Rogan and Rodney here in a little bit. I think my guy Jonas Knox is in for Rodney, but I'll be on AM 570 at 1 p.m. talking Clippers, talking Lakers if you want to check that out. And make sure to show Law Murray plenty of love for coming on. That was important to have him on today with the breaking Kawhi Leonard news and swirling rumors out there. So this has been another edition of a Clippers Talk Live. Subscribe and save.